faces here in Bell Hall, and hello to all of our members watching from the internet land. My name is Julie, my pronouns are she and her, and we're gonna start off today with some singing, so please rise, whether in body or in spirit, and if you know this song, please do sing along. Slow it down.
Was God thinking about my country or the color of my skin? Was he thinking about my religion and the way I worship them? Did God create just me in her image, or every living thing? When God
vision all the wars that were fought in his name. Did God say there was only one way to be close to him? When God made me, when God made me. Did God give us the gift of love to say who we could choose? When God made me, when God made me, when God made me, when God made me. Did God give me the gift of voice so some could silence me? Did God give me the gift of vision, not knowing what I might see? Did God give me the gift of compassion to help my fellow man? When God made me, when God made me, when God made me, when God made me. Please rise, whether in body or in spirit, and let's get some energy going. We're gonna bring it. Are you gonna bring it? All together now. Gone at last. 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 Gone at last.
Gone at last.
Gone at last.
I
I had a long streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last.
The road was icy, snow was falling, and the drifts were high, and I was weary from my driving, and I stopped to rest for a while. I sat down at a truck stop. I was thinking about my past. I had
a long streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last.
Say it after me. Gone at last.
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 I had
a long streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last.
Oh, I ain't done. I kicked around some. I don't fall too easily. But that boy looked so dejected. He just grabbed my sympathy. Sweet little soul, what's the problem? Tell me why are you so downcast? No, I had a long
streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last.
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 I had
a long streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last.
once in a while from unexpected and you're unprepared, somebody will come and lift you higher, and your burdens will be shared. I do believe if I hadn't met you, I might still be sinking fast. I had long streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last. 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 I had a long streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last. 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 I had a long streak of that bad luck, but I pray it's gone at last. Woo!
I think there's a little energy in the room now. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And welcome to WellSprings, both those of you here in Bell Hall and everyone joining us online. My name is Don. My pronouns are he, they, and I'm honored and blessed to be leading our worship service today. Each week when we gather, we light a chalice as a symbol of our shared spiritual heritage as Unitarian Universalists. It's not just a symbol of what is past, but what is present. That divine spark, that inner light that shines at the heart of each of our lives. As we light this chalice, may we share our light with each other and with the world. Anyone of any age may sign up in advance to be our chalice lighter. Just use the link at the bottom of the WellSprings weekly newsletter. Today, I've asked Eli to light our chalice. And after they've done so, we'll say the words on the screen together. We light this chalice to celebrate the path lit before us, the warmth of kindness that shines from within us, and the radiance of wisdom that is shared between us and never goes out. Good morning. Our mission here at WellSprings is to be a community charged full with the charge of the soul. So, scenes from my week. I juggle several jobs and sometimes don't know where I'm supposed to be or what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I have ADHD, the chaos of the juggle feels better to me than to most people. But even I can feel overwhelmed by the juggle. So a little bit about my week. This week in the where I do therapy, I saw 14 clients. One of them was brand new to me. At the elementary school where I work, I ran 15 groups and saw 5 kids individually. Groups covered identifying emotions, friendships, growth mindset, conquering stress at school, and executive functioning. In my graduate assistantship, I began outreach for study recruitment, found a way to attend a meeting that was scheduled half an hour before it happened, created a plan for the meeting I didn't know I would be in, scheduled and ran a meeting to debrief the results of that impromptu meeting, and began the creation of our interview guide for the study. In my MSW program, I attended 3 classes, wrote 1 paper, began another paper, worked on 2 different group assignments, reached out to a friend who had missed class to see how he was, and wrote my end of semester to-do list so I could organize the ball of OMG that was rolling around in my head. I also spent a considerable amount of time thinking about what I would say to all of you right now. I could focus on what's overwhelming, but that does not charge me full. The overwhelm does the opposite. Focusing on the overwhelm drains the battery of my soul. But even with some overwhelming feelings, I feel charged. So what's charging me? Beth, if you could... This week was Spirit Week at the elementary school. And what is Spirit Week without Wacky Wednesday? This is what I wore that day. The spontaneity of the kids I work with. They do things because it feels right, because it entertains them. What's that look like? Well, it's the second grader who I remind to walk quietly through the hallway. I'm aware he's thrilled he can whistle, so I remind him we don't whistle in the hallway. Then 2 steps into the hallway. Or the 4th grader in the executive function group who, while playing taco, cat, goat, cheese, pizza, reacts and slams his hand onto the table as I throw down a card and say cat. The card isn't a cat, though. The card has a goat on it, and so he has to take all the cards. He giggles as he says, "Why am I so bad at this game?" On the surface, that would seem like negative talk, but if you're there for the whole thing, you'd observe he keeps doing it, and the other kids laugh, and he's loving that he can entertain them, and just does it again and again. What's the moral of this tale? I stop to look around. I'm going to whistle while I walk, and I'm going to take time to act silly, and it distracts me from the overwhelm, and that charges me full. This morning, I'd like to especially welcome any newcomers. If this is your first or second time here with us, we're so glad you're here. You can see any of our belonging team members to help you get connected, to find out where the bathrooms are, or just have a new friend to sit with. Could I ask my belonging team members to just wave for a moment? Thank you. I hope you'll fill out a connection card so you can learn more about us and start to introduce yourself too. If you're watching from home, there's a link on the online connection card in the description below the video. If you're here in Bell Hall, you can fill out a connection card on your phone by scanning the QR code that appears on the screen during announcements. If anyone would like to interact with folks who are joining online this morning, there is a live chat available on YouTube. To access it, you'll need a YouTube or Google account. Just sign in and then click the live chat button to say hello. And finally, you can always find more information about today's service, as well as upcoming events and news by scanning the QR code available on the welcome table just by the front doors as you walk into Bell Hall. The same QR code will also appear on the screen during announcements. And now for our announcements for the week and for the QR code, I'll turn it over to our Membership and Communications Coordinator, Beth Trandle.
Hi, my name is Clay. My name is Wes. Hi.
And I'm Beth.
And this is Ellie. And we are here for an announcement today. Over here, you'll find a QR code
That you can scan at any point during these announcements for more information. Today after service, there will be a congregational meeting. This meeting will be presented by members of the Board of Trustees and the Stewardship Ministry to let you know about our current 2025-2026 pledge campaign. We hope you'll stay after service to find out more about how we're doing with our pledge campaign and what we're hoping to make do with the finances that we have. On April 24th, there will be a Power Interfaith Town Hall meeting at 7 p.m. This event is going to be held at Beth Israel in Chester Springs and will be focusing on fair funding education in Pennsylvania. There will be representatives. There will be representatives from 2 state legislators. We hope that you'll be able to join us. Today's snack was provided by
Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy. That's all for today. Have a great day, everyone.
And just reinforcing what I was saying, there's 3 examples of doing things just because they feel right? At WellSprings, the foundation of all we do is rooted in the power of connection, of making space in our hearts and in our lives for each other. This is the part of our service where we honor that connection by greeting one another. We recognize our community's presence well beyond these walls, so feel free to take a moment now to connect and share a greeting in the live chat, or maybe say hello in WellSprings Oasis, our private group on Facebook. For those here in Bell Hall, a reminder to please ask before hugging or approaching closely, and if you prefer to keep distance from others for any reason, just stay seated. That'll be our cue to give a friendly wave from afar. With gratitude for all the ways we might connect, please greet one another now. Thank you all for those warm greetings. Those here in Bell Hall, thank you for the warm greetings, everyone. Thank you for those warm greetings. Thank you for those warm greetings, everyone. We're a lively group this morning. Thank you for the warm greetings. Those here in Bell Hall are invited, which I'm expecting will be attended today. And it'll take place right here in this room after the service. Now, this is the second week of our welcoming stewardship. Instead of me or a board member reminding you to pledge, we thought we'd do something a bit different. WellSprings is rich with a few people who fancy themselves as actors or are just a bit outgoing. So our stewardship team asked Adam and Julie if they would help us out. Julie is playing Alex, a practical and budget-conscious congregant, while Adam will be playing Jamie, the cheerful and optimistic congregant. Take it away.
Hey, Alex. What do you think about this WellSprings pledge drive we have going on?
Hey, Jamie. Yeah, I heard about it, but I don't really get it. I mean, I usually just put money in the hat when it goes around on most Sundays.
Oh, that's great, but making a pledge is a little bit different. It's like making a promise so the congregation can plan for the year. When people pledge, the church has a better idea of what to expect financially. Think of it, it's like an RSVP to a big dinner party. If you don't know how many people are coming to the party, you might not make enough food, or you might make too much. Your pledge is like the RSVP, or your RSVP is like the pledge. And then your giving throughout the year is like you fulfilling that pledge. It's like you going to the party that you said that you would be at.
Okay, I guess that makes sense, but things are so crazy right now. Like, what if my situation changes? I hate to make a promise that I can't keep.
That's totally understandable. A pledge isn't set in stone. If things change, you can adjust it at any time. The idea is that we help WellSprings figure out spending for our staff or ministries, programs. It's our shared commitment to each other.
Okay, but why not just give during the offering? I mean, pledging sounds so weird. Like, why do I have to pledge? I'm not a Girl Scout anymore. And I give to plenty of organizations I care about already, like Planned Parenthood and public radio, and I don't have to tell them in advance how much I'm giving, because frankly, I just don't know.
I get it. It can feel weird to make a promise about giving that you need to make into the future. It can feel weird about making a promise for giving at a later date.
Yeah,
this one has tripped me up many times.
It does feel weird, doesn't it?
At any time. But I keep thinking about how WellSprings is almost totally funded by our donation. So it's got to be hard to think about funding and spending on our awesome staff if you don't know how much money people are going to give. You could think about it as like your own home finances. You would plan your year a little bit differently. You would plan your year differently if you thought you were going to make $50,000 versus $150,000. One might mean that you have to put off replacing your roof, or that you might have to postpone a big family trip. The other means that you might get to do those things and then also shop at Wegmans sometimes instead of Aldi.
First of all, Jamie, I always shop at Giant. I just got my free Giant ham certificate. And I also help out WellSprings by using the HeartWorks Cash for Causes program, where we get $5 for every $100 I spend.
Nice.
So, seriously, I think I'm starting to get it. Pledging is planning together as a community what we're going to be able to do for the coming year. So, how do I pledge?
Easy. You can do it right on the WellSprings homepage, or you can do it through a pledge card. And if you set up your giving on Realm, you can fulfill your pledge like I do. And it's one less thing you have to think about each month.
All right. So I get it. Pledging is important, and it's about planning as a community what we're going to do together. And yeah, I think you've convinced me. I think I'm going to spend some time in the next couple of days figuring out how much I can give during the year, and I'll get it done by the end of the month. I guess pledging is more than just about money.
Exactly. It's about sustaining our beloved community and planning all the good that we're going to do together.
Thank you both for that. And I had no idea what was in your script there. I knew you were doing something, but I had no idea. But that planning is a real thing. You know, I shared about my jobs a bit earlier, and part of the reason I have so many, the elementary school job came because the therapy job is something called fee for service, which means if I don't have as many people scheduled this week, my pay changes, or if people cancel their appointment, my pay changes. And the elementary job came from I needed an amount I could plan and know was coming, and so that's the pledges, right? So I'm inviting you now into our time of generosity. This is an opportunity to express our gratitude for and commitment to the ways the spiritual community has had an impact on all our lives. We sustain WellSprings now and into the future through our contributions. If you'd like, you can use your phone to give from anywhere. Just text WSprings to 73256. It's also easy and convenient to automate your giving on Realm. Our belonging team will be bringing hats around for those who wish to donate by hand. You can also drop a check or cash donation into the box near the front doors on the welcome table. Thank you for all the ways your gifts support WellSprings. Our offering will now be gratefully received. Now, having shared energy between us and giving beyond us, let's take some time now to reground into the deep and soulful energy that's within. We do this by doing what is simple and elemental in our lives. We take a breath, inhaling and exhaling without rush or hurry, breathing in and breathing out. There is nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be. Let us cultivate peace and experience presence together. As we prepare for our time of mindful silence, we follow these words from Thich Nhat Hanh. If we want to enter heaven on earth, we only need one conscious step and one conscious breath. Wherever it is that we are, whatever it is that we are doing, however it is that we are feeling, let us remember that peace and presence are always as close to us as our own breath. May this be so for us in the moment. May it be so for us this day, and may it be so for us in all the days to come. And now I'd like to invite our congregation's children to join Miss Carol and volunteers in the back of the room for their time of fellowship in Youth Spirit. Youth Spirit will be meeting in Gresh, Carol? Yes, in Gresh Hall, which is right across the way here. And grown-ups, please remember to pick up your children from Youth Spirit after the service is over. And now, I'd like to invite the band up for our next song.
Please rise. With their body and spirit.
Harry, you start. We could try it. People get ready. There's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. People get ready for the train to Jordan. It's picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and boredom. There's hope for all among those loved the most. So people get ready. There's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. Don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. I'm getting ready. Getting ready. Getting ready. Getting ready.
Oh, I remember this. Hi. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's somewhere in my brain is that buzzing sound. If you're new today, you're wondering why I'm so up here. I've been away on sabbatical for 4 months. This is my first Sunday back here in the pulpit preaching. Good. Thank you. And I have to start today by saying thank you to all of you, to every single one of you. This is my first Sunday back after 4 months 4 months away. And since I came back on April 1st, over these last 2 weeks, I've been reading your responses to the little survey that I sent out on that first day back. You might have seen it in the weekly. I asked questions of all of you. Questions like, what made you most proud of our congregation in these past 4 months? And what was the hardest part of sabbatical for you? And who do I need to thank? Who really went above and beyond while I was away? And I have to tell you, 90% of the answers to that last question were either you need to thank our staff team, Carol and Jen and Beth, or you need to thank Nick Sanchez, our ministerial intern. Yes, can we give a round of applause for our staff and for Nick? I could not have left you all with the peace of mind that I had if it weren't for them and for the trust and the confidence I had in each one of them, and I'm really grateful that you all saw that too. I also want to reflect back to you a little bit of what your fellow congregants had to say about this community, about each other. What made you most proud of you in these past 4 months? I'm sharing them anonymously, but these are just a few quotes. One person said, I'm proud that we pulled together through all of the post-election chaos, that we leaned on each other and inspired each other. Another person said, I'm proud because I think people grew in your absence. Another person said, I'm proud that we've seen some new faces and that our congregation has been just as friendly and open as ever. Someone else said, I'm proud because new leaders stepped forward and made their voices heard. Someone else said, I'm proud of the way that every Sunday speaker, whether they were from our congregation or a guest from another church, helped us realize that we are not alone. And one person said, I'm so delighted that we can welcome you back from a place of strength, ready to keep growing together. I am so delighted by that too. So a round of applause for all of you. All right, the sermon. Okay. So if you follow me on social media, you might have seen back at the end of November, just before my sabbatical, when I posted this picture, these two pictures actually. These were my book stacks. My book stacks for sabbatical, all the things that I wanted to read. But what you didn't know is that I had a secret third book stack. Now you might wonder, why would she have a secret third book stack? Well, it was because I didn't want to scare you. You can see on this next slide some of the titles in my secret third book stack. How Democracies Die is the first book. The Storm Before the Calm. Consequences of Capitalism by Noam Chomsky, that's a thick one. The Origins of Totalitarianism, Autocracy, Inc. Life After Doom, that's a title. Tyranny, Inc. I read from all three stacks. I can't say I finished them all cover to cover, but I at least dipped into every title. Sort of the way I learned to read in college. Some of you might have had a similar experience in college. There was just too much reading to read cover to cover. Nick is giving me, yes, signals back there. Too much to read cover to cover. And so the way I learned to read in college was you read the introduction, the beginning and end of every chapter, and then you dig back and you take a deeper dive into any sections that are particularly relevant for what you're trying to learn. And as any of you who've ever had to read for school might remember, with that method, sometimes you get lucky. And the thing you need most is right there on page 1. One of those books on my secret third book stack was this one, Hannah Arendt's The Origins of Totalitarianism. And the funny thing is, I read this book already in college, 20-some years ago as a freshman. 18 years old. I had always been interested in politics as a teenager, so I signed up my first semester in college for a political science class, thinking we'd be talking about the same kind of stuff you heard on The Daily Show or Weekend Update on SNL. That was kind of how I interacted with politics as a teenager, right? Not quite. No, instead, we cracked open Hannah's thick examination of the history of anti-Semitism, the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany, and the conditions that made it possible for ordinary people to choose, to elect even, a violent totalitarian regime. 18-year-old me never took a political science class again. That wasn't what I expected. I don't think it was what any of us expected. Back in 2001, when I was a college freshman, democracy, to me, seems completely safe. A constant. Almost as if it were somehow natural on this land, right? Steady like the flow of water from the tap. All the workings of the plumbing obscured by the cabinet beneath the sink. The vast array of city planners and engineers and maintenance staff that kept the waterworks going, we didn't see any of that. All we saw was how easily it flowed to us. In our homes, in our upstairs bathrooms, in our kitchen sinks, right? As if by pure magic. I cracked open Hannah's classic book 24 years later, and I read it differently. And the first thing I saw was something that flew completely over my head at age 18, but I have a new way of understanding it now. It's a quote hidden among those first few pages of the foreword. You can see in this next picture, maybe barely make out that there's an original text back there in German. I took a photo using the translate feature on my phone, so you can see it in English. It's from the German philosopher Karl Jaspers, and it says, "Neither fall for the past nor for the future. It is important to be very present." So mindful, Karl Jaspers. Very mindful, very demure, right? Don't fall for the past or for the future. It is important to be very present. Now, why would this sentiment, this spiritual sentiment about presence, about being mindful of this moment, why would that be the first thing we read in a book about history and Europe and totalitarian governments? I think the answer has to do with what we've been talking about, what you've been talking about this spring. That theme for our message series as the weather warms, about the saving powers of presence, about the saving powers of being with something, of loving it, of savoring it, keeping our eyes open to the world around us, keeping our hearts open, and loving this world so much that we are moved authentically to protect it. These feelings, this desire in us to save and protect, they come up naturally. They come to us whenever we consider a person or a place we truly love. Picture someone you truly love. You can close your eyes if you want and actually picture their face. Maybe it's your child. Maybe it's your sister or your brother, your best friend, someone you truly love. It might even make you smile just to call them to mind, right? Because you love them. You soak in every word they say. You know what makes them laugh. You treasure the moments you get to share together. And because you know them, you know when something is off. You can open your eyes now. A few years ago here at WellSprings, when we were just coming out of COVID lockdowns, some of you were here for this, I was dancing on the edge of a pretty severe burnout. And what finally made me stop and ask for help and support was my best friend looking me in the eye one day and saying with all gentleness and care, "You've been different. You've been different lately. Something's wrong. I can tell." When we have people who know us and love us, when we are savored and enjoyed, then we also have people who know when we are in trouble. And when we choose to know and love our communities in that way, our neighborhoods, the people in the world around us who make up our days, our coworkers, our family, our friends, when we're present to the people who surround us, then we know when they're in trouble. During my sabbatical, I ran into WellSprings folks less often than I expected to. There was one time I saw Sam Weber at Target. Hi, Sam. She's not here today, but all of the other times besides that, when I saw one or more of you out and about in the world, it was because you were showing up for our wider community. I saw some of you at community events. I saw some of you at rallies, at trainings or meetings. And every time, it was at some kind of gathering for people who love this world and who see that it is in trouble. Possibly my favorite day of the entire 121 days that I was away from you was this day. This was the day in February when a group of people got together and rallied to support our immigrant neighbors right down the road in Phoenixville. It was a super homegrown kind of protest. You may not have even known about it. We actually didn't even send it out on the local Love Thy Neighbor Chester County list because the planning happened too quickly. It all came together between a Thursday night and a Saturday morning. Yeah, in that first week of February, when ICE activity began to ramp up and was moving into our own backyards here in Chester County. Over the course of those 2 days or so, Nina Guzman, who you might remember from an organization called Alianza Stay Phoenixville, she spoke at my installation last September. Nina asked her community partners to come and show support for our neighbors. Neighbors of ours who were suddenly scared to leave their houses, scared to pick up their kids from school or go to the doctor, regardless of their immigration status, mind you. They were all afraid that they'd be swept up by overeager ICE agents with a quota to meet. A fear that we've certainly seen, if you've been paying attention to the news, is grounded in reality. News about the community rally was posted in our neighborhood Facebook group, where, as you can imagine, it sparked 2 days' worth of arguments, flame wars in the comments, but that also meant a lot of views, a lot of shares. And on Saturday afternoon, there were about 250 people spread out across the corners of Bridge and Main Streets. Almost all of us were white. Now, Nina was there. Nina is Puerto Rican. But the folks in her community, the folks who we were there to support, they did not come because they know that they have targets on their backs. And as we gathered, it was a little quiet and awkward at first. But then this one young woman pulled out a bullhorn, and she started to lead the crowd in chants. And that was all it took to get us going. And you can sort of tell the same way when you go to a concert. You can hear the crowd really respond to the hits, right? The crowd favorites. You could tell which chants gave us energy and really resonated and made everybody shout louder and cheer. And it was absolutely clear that this crowd, their favorite chant was, "This is what community looks like." When I was in my 20s, I lived for a while in Washington, D.C. So I've been to a lot of protests. I've been to big ones on the National Mall with headliner speakers and police escorts and all the right permits. This was not that. It was so much more beautiful. There was a man there with us who volunteers with the nonprofit that Nina leads. And he had his phone up recording. And eventually I realized he was live streaming the whole thing to Facebook. He was streaming it to all of those folks in our community who were too scared to be there in person. They were watching from home. And that was all that Nina wanted. This event was not organized to change a law or to close a detention center or even necessarily to stop ICE from coming into our community, though personally I think anytime we gather in that way, it lends support to those kinds of goals. But no, this rally was just organized to show our neighbors that we care and to remind ourselves that we care. To be very present with what was happening in that moment. And to practice for moments to come when we might need each other, when we might be in trouble. We were there for just an hour, and all throughout, we had people driving by honking their horns. Some made gestures that perhaps implied they did not share our point of view. But far more gave us the thumbs up or waved and cheered with their car windows rolled down as they passed by. And in just the last 10 minutes or so that we were out there, a few cars came by that slowed down, rolled right up next to us. Cars full of moms and dads and kids, groups of men on their way home from work, immigrant families who slowed down and rolled down their windows and pulled up for a brief moment to say thank you. We did some saving and some savoring that day. Those two kinds of things, those two practices that really aren't that different from each other. Aligning our natural instincts to know and love this world around us, to stay out of the past, to stay out of the future, and instead to be very present, pouring more of our energy into the people and places we love. Now, my predecessor at WellSprings, Reverend Ken Belden, we're often on the same wavelength, and sometimes he will accidentally steal my thunder by posting something online that I was going to use for a Sunday message. So I know some of you have seen this article already, but this headline here, if I can risk perhaps being a little dramatic for a moment, it feels like the article behind me that I'm about to quote from is giving us the spiritual message for our time, the spiritual purpose for communities like ours in this era that we're living in. It's an article by Anand Giridharadas called "The Opposite of Fascism." And it is yet another reminder to all of us that savoring and saving go hand in hand. He says, when they try to dehumanize, you humanize. He says, when they try to fracture and divide people, you connect with people. When they try to curtail the freedom to associate, you gather. When they try to make it harder to speak your mind, you find your voice. When they try to make you cynical, you double down on hope. When they try to drown you Like Don said, right? Drown you in overwhelm, reacting to every little thing. You remember the beautiful tomorrow that you are fighting for. Anand says they want politics to eat your dreams. And so, living well, living in community, living with others, taking care of your people and even not your people, it's not just self-care in order to keep fighting. It is the fight. It is actually inseparable from resisting their big project. What he says in that article is backed up by everything I read in my scary secret book pile, y'all. I'm telling you, all of the academics and historians and political scientists in the world who've studied how democracy can fail, they co-sign in their academic way what Anand is saying in plain English, which is that the opposite of fascism is rich human joy. If you don't like what your government is doing, he says, you can refuse it. You can refuse their values and choose your own. Because when the freedom to be who you are, to speak and live the way you live are on the chopping block, then it is no longer symbolic to live your own free and colorful and open life. I had 19 weeks away from this place, this community. And I will not lie to you about one thing. I loved sleeping in on Sundays. But I missed our music. I missed your faces. I missed knowing the stories behind all of your names. I missed the joy and the energy and the life in this place. And honestly, more than ever before in my years of ministry, I feel certain that we are doing something that is needed. That the way that we practice savoring this hour, the way that we practice savoring each other and anyone who walks through those doors, the way that our practice weekly builds those muscles of love, of looking out for our neighbor, for the one who's kept on the outside, the stranger among us who's different. The practice of looking out for each other and building real community with each other, that will save people. It may save us. So I told you I would come back ready. I'm ready. I promise I won't be preaching about how to resist fascism every week. That's too much. But between all the books I read and the trainings I took, I do feel like I've earned some kind of associate's degree on the subject. So I do plan to share some of what I learned with you over the next year or 4. Most importantly, though, I am ready to help us remember that we have spiritual work to do. The practices that will fill our hearts and bind us together. And the message that we have to share, which is that the opposite of all that is rich, defiant human joy. It is our purpose to make music, to know the stories behind each other's names and faces, to know when a friend is in trouble, and to stand together. Neither fall for the past nor for the future, my friends. It is important to be very present. Amen. May you all live in blessing. Our band is already making their way back up on stage, and while they do so, I will invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. God of our heart's own understanding, creator of this beautiful, magnificent world, present to it in all of its pain and trouble. May we be guided by that image of your love, of the love that is beyond all imagining, of the love with a capital L that has another name, which is God. May we feel that force and that power in our own lives, and may we feel the power to reflect it out to others in the world around us. For these prayers that I've spoken out loud and for the prayers that each one of us is carrying silently on our hearts, we say amen.
Please rise for our final song today.
We can all help. And I need a sign, let me know you're here. All of these lines are being crossed over the atmosphere. And I need to know things are gonna look up, 'cause I feel as a drowning in a sea filled from a cup. When there is no place safe and no safe place to put my head, when you can feel the world shake from the words that are said. And I'm calling all angels. I'm calling all you angels. And I won't give up if you don't give up. And I won't give up if you don't give up. I won't give up if you don't give up. I won't give up if you don't give up. And I need a sign to let me know you're here, 'cause my TV set just keeps it all from being clear. And I want a reason for the way things have to be. And I need a hand to help build up some kind of hope inside of me. And I'm calling all angels. I'm calling all you angels. When children have to play inside 'cause they don't disappear, while private eyes solve marriage lies 'cause they don't talk for years. And football teams are kissing queens and losing sight of having dreams. In a world where what we want is only what we want until it's ours. And I'm calling all angels. I'm calling all you angels. I won't give up, you don't give up. Calling all angels. I won't give up, you don't give up. Calling all you angels. Calling all you angels. I won't give up, you don't give up. Calling all you angels. I won't give up if you don't give up. I'm calling all you angels.
I went away and they're still pretty good. More than pretty good. All right. This light may go out. My mic is not on. Should be on. It is on? I'm sorry. I'm back for the first time in 4 months. This light may go out, but the source that sparked it is always with us. And together we say, as we release this flame from its faithful service today, we allow the spark in each of us to burn on, to warm our compassion, to fire our delight, to light our paths today, tomorrow, and always. Friends, I can't wait to see you again in another week, and the week after that, and the week after that. I won't give up if you don't give up. I'll see you soon. Let's put our hands together one more time for these guys. Take us out.
And we set up this congregational meeting to give you guys some more information about the pledge drive and any questions you guys might have about where we spend our money. We think it's really important for you to know, be an active participant in this process, so give you some more information. So my name is Chris Reeder. I'll be representing the board as the treasurer.
And my name is Sarah Costa. I'm here on behalf of the Stewardship Ministry. And we decided that we would do this congregational meeting a bit ahead of the annual congregational meeting based on how things went last year, because people had a lot of questions about the budget, about how we came to be operating at a deficit, about what we could do about it. And we wanted to give everyone more information and an opportunity to ask questions before we got to that, before we got to the congregational meeting on an annual cadence, and to just make sure that you have all the information you need as you're thinking about what feels right for your family to pledge in the coming year. So we're very excited to be up here talking with you, because now more than ever, I at least feel like I need this community, and I love knowing that it will be here, knowing that we are putting in the work to plan together so that WellSprings will continue to grow and be strong and be able to do the good work that we are doing in the world. So let's jump in. How does WellSprings operate? Any ideas where our money comes from? It's all of you. We don't have a diocese somewhere that's giving us grants every year. We're not a startup anymore. For a while in our early years, we got some startup funding from UUA, but we're not. We're like a real congregation now. We call it a minister, y'all. So everything that we are and do together, it's us. It all comes from us. Most of our budget, thankfully, comes from pledge donations so that we know what to expect. But a little bit comes from things that aren't pledges, that are just sort of, what we get in the hat every week. Cash that's donated, surprise gifts. But mostly, we need your pledge so that, as Adam and Julie said in the skit, we know how to plan for the year ahead. We know what we can expect from the congregation so that we know what we can pay our staff.
So that's where we get our money, and then, so last year we had a deficit budget, okay, as hopefully everybody does remember. Our goal this year is $250,000, okay? That was our goal last year also. Okay, we didn't make that goal. So what we did was we built into the budget some fundraising. Okay, so the additional funding that we have, we're hoping to be able to make some improvements. Okay, so one of the big ones is a cost of living increase for our staff. So it has been since 2022 that our staff has had a cost of living increase.
Go back to the first slide. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
In that time, we've seen inflation of what, 10%?
9 to 10%. So effectively, our staff has all had a pay cut over the last 4 years.
So we want to make that right. I mean, that's one of our top priorities going into this year. But it all comes to what we as a community give to WellSprings so that we can make that happen. You can see there's some other things on the list there. Depending on how much we can, how close we get to our target in our pledge drive will depend on what we can do. So the way this process is going to work is, once we have our pledge commitments from you all, the board will take that information and we'll do some discernment as to where we are going to spend our money. There's certain things that need to be covered for sure. And then if we have extra, where does that go? You can see also up here, there's some other figures for other things that we would like to do, okay? But we need to have that funding for it. Next slide, please. So again, where do we spend the money? The money mostly goes to the staff. Okay, so 77% of our operating budget goes to the staff. We do have about 14% that goes to rent this space. Okay. We do expect about a 6% increase in our expenses next year compared to what we have budgeted this year. Now, part of that is updating what some of our vendors have already asked us to start paying, all right, so catching up with some of that. And then we do anticipate that there will be some more increases in some of the services that we purchase over the next year just due to inflation. So we have that. There's a possibility we might have a rent increase from the Montgomery School. We have not discussed that with them yet, but it's something that they asked for last year, and we were able to talk to them and say, hey, can we hold off a little bit on that? So we did, we're adjusting the budget for that. We did make previous cuts also, all right? So we are down to essentially the budget is as bare bones as it can be. All right? There's not really any more room to cut things from the budget. So this is where we're saying we need to just step up and be able to fund our congregations so we're not operating out of a deficit.
So let's jump ahead one more slide here and just give you a sense of the landscape of pledging and giving at our congregation. There are a few really key items I want to share in this trove of information here. One is just how big a range there can be and what a pledge means. Your pledge might be 2 digits, your pledge might be 5 digits. Both are really important. It's about giving what feels right for your family, what feels meaningful for you, based on the meaning that this place has for you. But we're hoping that we can get a higher rate of participation because the biggest bar on this bar graph is from nearly half of our congregational households who don't pledge at all. If we could get a higher rate of participation, we would be able to close that budget deficit that we've been operating at for a while. We would be able to give our congregational staff and ministry leaders that long overdue cost of living adjustment, but we all have to come together and pledge and contribute. So our goal here is getting that first bar that's at 0, let's shrink that. And let's get more people to pledge what feels right to them. I want to just highlight a couple of wonderful statistics that I've had already from the pledge drive. So if we can go ahead one more. Actually, go ahead one more after this, sorry. Our pledge drive has been going on for 2 weeks, and we have 2 weeks left. So you have some time to figure out what does feel right, how you want to show up for our budget for the WellSprings for the coming year. We have 18 pledges already, representing $58,000. So we're over 20% of the way there. That's great. 2 of those were from people who didn't have a pledge last year, so woo, thank you. 10 of them were increases from last year. That's also awesome, so thank you. I just want to say a sincere thank you from Stewardship Ministry and the board to everyone who contributes and who supports this place financially. And now, let's jump back a slide to cover what it does mean to contribute financially and to be a member of WellSprings.
So to be a voting member of WellSprings, you really do need to make what's called a financial contribution of record, which essentially means that we've on our books seen that you have given some funding to WellSprings. On the slide here is our current bylaw, and we're proposing a change that will be voted on in our next congregational meeting, which will be coming up in a couple months. It doesn't substantially change what is written up here. It just enforces that pledging or making a financial record of contribution is required to be a voting member. We thought it was a little bit ambiguous in the previous wording. If you are not contributing, then you become a non-voting member. So still, of course, welcome, right? But to vote in congregational affairs, you do need to make a record of contribution. So that's something that we're going to propose to all of WellSprings, and you all need to vote on that change, the wording change. That'd be in an upcoming meeting. There'll also be some other proposed changes to the bylaws. based on recommendations from our welcoming committee. So that will be provided to you before we have the meeting and before we have the vote. I do want to also mention a couple kind of creative ways you can give to WellSprings. We do have a stock portfolio account. We don't own any stocks, but if anyone wants to give in stocks that have appreciated in value, we can take those and we cash them in, and it's no taxes paid by WellSprings because we are a nonprofit. So it could help you out from a tax perspective. It could also help out WellSprings, and that could be a portion or a part of your pledge. And then the other one is that WellSprings is a 503c nonprofit, so if you have a employer contribution where they match your giving to a nonprofit, if we qualify, you can check with them. Maybe we can get a little bit of additional funding from that.
I'm a huge cheerleader for that. Employer matches are wonderful when they exist. I feel very blessed to have an employer that not only matches half of what I give to WellSprings, but will also donate money for my volunteering. So there's this beautiful cycle where I volunteer with Youth Spirit and with the stewardship ministry, and then I record those hours, and then they give me money that I then give back to WellSprings. It's beautiful. So look into your employer, see if they will do any sort of matching and contribute for WellSprings.
Okay, could we go to the last slide again? We'll keep that QR code up there in case you want to go ahead and make a pledge now, but we'll also open it up for questions. So I have a microphone here. If you have a question, come on up. We can bring it back for you. So make sure we talk into the mic so that everybody can hear, and for those online as well.
Yes.
Any questions?
Oh, hey.
For the, I guess, 47 households where they didn't make a pledge, do we know if they still contribute but just didn't make the pledge because they didn't realize the importance of it? Are they members who maybe have sort of dropped off? Are they people who can't contribute financially? Do we know any details about that?
It's a good question. It's a little of all of the above. We don't have the detailed breakdown, but some of it, yes, is people who just give and don't have a pledge. Some of it is people who maybe shouldn't actually be considered members anymore, which is why our pledge cards also are part of our membership survey. And so there you can actually mark down if you really don't think that you should be considered a member anymore. Of course, it is a little hard if someone has so checked out that they don't even want to say I'm not a member. That's fine. But we do have a strong and healthy membership that is pledging and contributing, and so we just want to grow that.
And I think a second part to that is, if you're just dropping money in the hat, how do we know that it came from you? So we do have some envelopes on the back that you can put your name on, drop the money in the hat, and then that will go towards your ledger with WellSprings so that you have that contribution of record.
Or if you're writing a check, you can always write in the memo line, FY 25 or 26 pledge commitment, just so that we then have your contribution of record. Yeah. Yeah, just put your name on the envelope. If you're donating cash, put it in an envelope with your name, and then we know it's your contribution of record, and you're a voting member.
Not so much a question, but just to point out, when we are working in a deficit budget, one of the things that we can't do is get a ministerial intern. One of the things WellSprings prides itself on is being a teaching congregation. Reverend Lee does an awesome job. We'd like to see that continue. So when you pledge to WellSprings, you're also pledging to not only send a little bit of WellSprings out into the world, but to help someone become a minister. So please keep that in mind.
While Lee makes her way over, I'm just going to double down on that and say part of how we've been talking about the budget amongst ourselves as the board and as the stewardship ministry is about living our values. And one of those values is being a teaching congregation and trying to help train up new ministers. And I think that we have gotten so much more from Nick than we have been able to give to him, and it's still been amazing to see him grow as a minister. It would be so wonderful to see us continue that tradition.
Is it on? Okay. Would you mind rewinding the slide to the one with the big pie that was almost all yellow? One more. There you go. Okay. I'm sorry. I couldn't read the bottom part. I'm trying to understand. Also donations, but surprise ones in the offering. Okay, so the yellow wedge is donations that were not pledges. Okay. So when we did the big ask last fall, and the congregation stepped up in a big, mighty way for this fiscal year, 96%, is this fiscal year or last, or, you know, like, I want to make sure I'm interpreting this right, that was primarily people who had pledged fulfilling their pledge. It was no more than 4% extra money that hadn't been pledged.
This is actually general. This is not just specifically last year. So the fulfillment or the extra giving from last year, first of all, I forgot to mention it. Thank you very much, everybody who did that. I mean, that eliminated our deficit for last year and gave us some extra cash. So thank you very much, everyone. You stepped up big time. The goal this year is to not have to make those extra asks in the middle of the year, okay? But Kathy, to your question, so those funds, most of them went to what's called a special gift. So we also have people that contribute special gifts. Maybe they make a special contribution during the year, or maybe there's a memorial service and they contribute to cover the costs of that. So those are our special gifts. I think that the take-home message of this slide, it's a little bit more of a meme here, but like it's basically all the money comes from you guys, all right? It's not, we don't have an endowment where we're getting a lot of interest. We don't have funding from the UUA that they send to us. There are no grants available to us to get additional funding. It all comes from this group here, whatever bucket you put it in.
Yeah, and just to further answer and get into the weeds here, this I based on the completed fiscal year, so not this current one. If we did it for the current fiscal year, that yellow might be a little bit bigger because of that emergency ask and those other gifts that did end up going to close the operating budget deficit. It was more that we have been operating at a deficit, and we can't plan a budget that is a deficit budget because we can't rely on angel gifts like that in the future. We're trying to set a budget that will match our pledges so that we know we will have what we are saying we're going to spend.
I was curious. I know we're asked by the UUA for an annual contribution. How are we doing on that? It's based on members, so it's important we make sure that's accurate. How are we doing on our pledge to the UUA?
So we do give to the UUA. They ask for a certain percentage. We don't quite meet that percentage that they ask for. This is kind of a situation where we give what we can. We give a little bit to show that we're giving. But if we truly want to be an active member of the UUA, they do ask for more than what we are actually giving. So that's one thing where if we have the funding, maybe we can increase that a little bit. But right now we are essentially underfunding the UUA from our perspective.
Hey, Chris, I asked you this a couple months ago, and I apologize because I completely have forgotten your answer. But in this day and age, I'm concerned because I'm pretty sure you said that none of the staff has health insurance, and that still worries me. You know, and so I just wondered if anybody had any comments about that.
Sure, and if we go to, I know it's on this slide here, we did look into what it's going to cost to give the staff health insurance. So we're looking at between $20,000 to $33,000, and that would be annual. Okay, so it's a significant commitment to be able to do that. The board will need to discern what to do with the funding. However, the thought right now is if we can give the staff an increase in their pay, that will help offset some of the expenses they need to pay towards the health care. Right now, unless we really go way above and beyond what our pledge drive is, this year it's not very likely that we'd be able to provide that health care for the staff. So I think we would probably need to be close to the $300,000 pledge level to be able to commit to that. And then it's an ongoing commitment. You can't just give it once and then take it away the next year. That wouldn't be good either. So we need to make sure that we're financially ready for that. But the board does recognize that. I think everybody here does recognize that it's something that we really need to work on and get to.
Wait for the
Let's
mic.
get you a mic, Duncan.
Yeah.
I don't know how to really word it. When it comes to like the people who are focused on the finances of the committee, focused on finances, when it comes to my donation or our donations, how do we prioritize? I know we can set, I think we can set our donations to go to a specific thing. How would you guys like to prioritize that? Like, can we get a priority list for where we should actually put our donations?
So I can answer that. When you make your pledge, there are different categories that you can assign that to. Unless you have a really strong preference, the pledge is to send it to the general fund. And then the general fund is what we distribute. There are some other categories there, like the Belden Intern Fund. There's a future fund on there also. But for our operating expenses, that comes out of the general fund. So thank you for that question.
And then from there, as things increase, you saw the wish list that we have here. The board has this wish list set, and so one of the first things, as Chris said, that we would like to be able to fund is a long overdue cost of living adjustment for staff, because they've effectively seen at least a 10% pay cut over the last few years due to inflation. And that is not living our values.
Hi, I'm Joelle. I sit on the stewardship committee as well. But I just wanted to clarify something. So I do a lot with understanding insurances and give lectures on it because I teach. So one of the things I want to point out is that sometimes you can do more harm offering insurance without increasing the cost of living. So depending, and I think all of you probably understand this, right? So when you get access to insurance, depending on what your premiums and your percent coverage and your percent deductible, sometimes you pay more out of pocket than you would have if you potentially qualified for state insurance, right? So there are so many nuances there that would, and I actually don't know what anyone gets paid, but theoretically, if somebody made, if Pennsylvania changed what you need to make to, for example, be covered for Medicaid. Currently, it's 130% of the poverty limit, right? If somebody made $5,000 more than that and now no longer qualified for Medicaid, I'm just explaining this to people, you're potentially going to pay a lot more out of pocket for the health that you need. So the whole thing is very complicated. So I guess I'm agreeing that the best thing we can do right now with what our budget is to at least ensure that we're adjusting for a cost of living wage so that people aren't living with a pay cut. And then obviously if we can get towards the $300,000, but it needs to be consistent. and the quality of insurance you can provide matters a lot. Because unfortunately, I see too frequently the people that I serve are the people who are in that middle range where they make just enough that they don't qualify for the assistance, but they can't even afford to see me because their copay or the cost of their insulin copay is too much. So it's just, not to add doom and gloom, but I just want to say that that's not always the best thing we can offer people, unfortunately, where we are now.
Thank you for that comment, Joelle. Any other questions? All right, so we just wanted to make sure everybody had the information available. Please make your pledges. Sarah, do you have any closing words?
Oh,
we got
Kathy
another
has another.
question. I was just wrapping up.
So we had the slide with the bars about how many people pledge at various levels. How does a similar chart to that look in terms of the amount that people give? Like how many households, of the 47 that are not pledging, how many are not even giving?
Yeah. Mary.
They don't have a record of giving. If they put cash in the offering plate, that we wouldn't know.
15% of our households here at WellSprings give us half of our operating budget, which is incredible and risky, which is why we're trying to spread out the giving amongst more of our members. And a lot of people will say, why don't you just, well, we need to get more members in. Getting more members won't do us any good if they are contributing at the same rates as our current members. We need to increase the rate of participation, not just the number of people here. So, thank you, everyone. Any other final comments or questions?
Thank you to the Stewardship Committee.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you guys so much for staying. We really appreciate it. All right.